The BnR is here. Let's see if anything's changed. Hi guys, welcome back to Casting Commons, the show where we talk and discuss all things Pauper. I am your host Teasdale, and this is my co-host, the Shadow Ally Denizen himself, Reese.
We definitely haven't had that name before, I can tell you that one for free.
Yep, that is very true. Before we start, do not forget to support us by rating us 5 stars on Spotify, following us on Twitter at CastingCommons1 for the most recent Pauper deck lists, and of course, subscribe to us on YouTube. How are you doing? Alright?
Yeah, sound. Trying to think when we last recorded. I've played some more low end drafts. Played some more Pauper, because our FNMs are now back on Pauper, so that's sick. There's a few of us going to the Recollect event in next week. Is it next week?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, next week. And getting in March. So lots of testing for that, which is sick.
Yeah, good.
Pauper is back.
Pauper be back. This week we're going to touch on the BnR as our Pauper thought, just in case. Obviously, Pauper was tagged in that for what it's worth. So I guess let's just dive right into that, to be fair. Across the board, there was, like as in all of the formats, basically, all of the relevant formats, there was no changes. And that also includes Pauper, which I actually do want to say surprised me, but not for the bannings. I actually thought this might have been a perfect and apt opportunity for them to at least try a trial unbanning for me. I think is one thing that sort of jumped out. Obviously, the meta hasn't really shifted in quite a while. Obviously, the sets have had low impact, etc. Like the new sets that have come out, or they've had minimal impact. I think it would have been a good time for me personally to at least trial unban something. Maybe they feel like the format's, based on what they were talking about, they're basically saying they're monitoring the format closely since obviously High Tide's departure. Basically, decks have had sideboard slots game back and all this sort of stuff was what they were saying. But they basically keep an eye on certain decks. But they didn't also, which we will obviously touch on further, but they didn't touch on anything to be trial unbanned at all.
No.
Which surprised me.
No. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of fine. Like, the format is fine. I didn't really expect anything to be banned.
Yeah.
They mentioned that they're monitoring spy decks, which I thought was weird because it's like that's literally like 3 or 4 months, if not more, out of date since spy's been actually like well represented and relevant. It's fell off pretty hard, so that just sort of seemed a bit out of touch with what's happening at the moment.
I think for me, for spy, I think obviously my only thing I can consider there is they gain obviously all the data from leagues. So, which the spy decks do show up quite a bit in leagues. So, unless there's something there, is the only thing I can think of. Like, a lot of people do just like to jam spy. And
they're just not performing anywhere else other than leagues.
Yeah, it could be something along them lines, or people just, when they play challenges, they're just not playing. Like, spy obviously is still featured occasionally, but it's obviously nowhere near close to let's monitor this. But
yeah.
Maybe it's also a point that they've had to make because, well, it's like sort of the only real combo deck that's sort of up there. And people like to keep, be put at ease with, oh, look, this combo deck is sort of, we are monitoring this combo deck sort of thing. Unless maybe. It did seem odd to me as well, though. Like, it's an odd thing to state.
And then the other part of that was they said that they're monitoring red decks with Sneaky Snacker, which again just come across as odd. Like there's one red deck with Sneaky Snacker, unless like you're putting Black Red Madness in there, which doesn't need to be in there. So I don't know why they can't just call out, oh, we're keeping an eye on one Red Madness.
Yeah.
Given like the base, that's essentially what they're doing. They've just said it in a very odd way. But yeah, it would have been nice to hear that they were considering, even if they weren't putting anything on trial ban, that they were just considering some trial bans in the future. But yeah, it's sort of a bit of a nothing.
Yep.
Really. Not that we really expected much, but
no,
we expected slightly more than absolutely nothing.
Yeah, for me, like, that's what I mean. Like, the format obviously hasn't really shifted. Like, we've spoke of the past few episodes that were basically, we're talking about micro changes inside deck lists to see how, like,
Yeah.
because obviously the format's not changing from sets, like, obviously with the standard UB sets and all that sort of stuff that we've talked about previously. But that's why I thought it would have, at least, as you say, like, if they're not going to unban anything, like trial unban anything, they would at least mention that they were thinking about trial unbanning something. But,
or not thinking about it. Maybe it's not mentioned because they aren't thinking about it, which I guess is a shame. Maybe they're pretty happy that everything on the ban list needs to remain on there. But from their previous announcements, they've already mentioned before cards that they would consider taking off. So it's like a bit iffy. I don't know.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to have more. I feel like it's something we say about these announcements or like information in general from the PFP. It would be nice to have more information, basically, is my thought coming off this BnR.
Yeah,
because even like the bit feel, like there wasn't much and it was very, very light. As I say, basically the monitoring red decks with Sneaky Snacker and Spy decks was like 50% of the text, and then the other 50% were monitoring mono blue Terror decks as well, and that was it.
Yeah, it's literally three paragraphs in a sentence, and the paragraphs are still, like, obviously that's a bit tough. Like, one of the paragraphs is actually a sentence when you look at it, and the second paragraph is actually just one sentence. Oh no, it's two sentences.
We've got about 5 sentences.
Yeah, we've got about 5 sentences, and that's a stretch. Actually, I think it's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 5. Yeah, 5 sentences exactly.
But yeah, like I don't think they should have. I definitely don't think they should have banned anything. I don't think anything needs banned at all. Like, as we see from looking at the challenge results and tournament results, like, the format is varied. Like, it's changed up every week. It's changed up every event, basically, not even every week. And maybe because it is in such a decent place, really, that's why they're not even speaking about trial and ban and stuff, because why would you want to upset the apple cart when it's going so well, I guess? But I don't know. I think there could probably be an argument for reduce the ban list, try new things, shake up the format. It makes it more interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a strange one. I guess obviously it's pretty close to Portmageddon as well, but then it's like why obviously upset, like they've done it before, right? Obviously they've done things before where they're like, right, okay, we're going to change this because Portmageddon's around the corner. So I guess in the same vein it could be that, but then also
it's a good opportunity for a lot of data though.
Exactly. So, but yeah, I think excuse me, I think like I agree. Like, I don't understand why the two of the cards that mentioned that they were keeping an eye on are sure. Okay. Like, yeah, a bit weird, but
I mean, Madness is sort of, again, just not really something to be worried about at this point. Like, again, maybe 3-4 months ago, I could see them being like, oh, we'll have to watch this because it's like top 8 in every single challenge, but it's not even there anymore. Like, the red decks are not 50-50 split, but are getting towards like 60-40 split with Rally and Madness. And then Spy decks are just basically nowhere in big events. I guess they may be somewhere in leagues, but those two felt like very strange points to focus on, but maybe they just didn't have any other points. And then even the Terror point, obviously the deck's good, but it doesn't dominate challenges, it doesn't dominate tournaments like any more than most other decks, to be fair.
Yeah, I think to be fair, Terror's probably... I do agree with their point that they did say the largest thing on their radar was mono blue Terror decks, which...
Yeah. The largest of absolutely nothing is this one that's like minute as opposed to invisible.
Which I definitely think obviously is a statement that they should obviously mention, because there's a lot of people that do... Like, obviously you hear all these ban cries and things like that, and Terror's usually the one that is on everyone's radar. So I do agree with at least mentioning that it is the largest on their radar. However, I do agree it's not completely dominating, but again, they also have the data, and it's a deck that I wouldn't be surprised if it's sort of similar to Kuldotha was, where it has such a large game 1 win rate that, like, that's sort of why it needs to be on the radar, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. They sort of also mentioned that it's got a lot of counters, but continues to perform well. Which I guess, like, it depends which way you look at it. Sideboard wise, it's got a lot of sideboard cards that would be good against it, but for the vast majority of the time, people just do not play them. Like, how many relics do you see in sideboards? Like, they're very rarely there. Obviously, the red deck, the Madness deck, has a lot of Pyroblasts because the Terra matchup's so awkward and bad for it, basically. But other decks, like, no other deck is targeting Terra, really. And then if you look at it in terms of, like, what deck counters it, the decks that counter it are just doing well because it's there anyway. So, like, Elves is doing really well at the moment because it's got a really good mono blue Terra matchup. So even that, like, there's not that much there to dig into, really, unfortunately.
Yeah. But again, I do wish there was definitely some more, even on that, because it's a deck that I personally don't think should be banned, obviously. I don't think anything should have been banned. But if they turned around and announced today that they were banning Terra and they went, oh, here's the data for it, I actually wouldn't be surprised because that data would probably show that. Because it's a deck that could do that, if you know what I mean. But that's not to say that I do think it needs to go. It's just, it's like Kuldotha, right? Like, I didn't think, oh, this deck needs to go. But when they went, oh, it's got this much win rate, I actually didn't. Okay, fair enough, that's justified. I can get behind that sort of thing. And it's sort of the same.
Although I think Kuldotha was a lot further down the line than Terra is right now. But yeah, I do get your point. It's a weird one, though, because we're obviously not privy to that data until the decision is made. Like, they haven't used this as an opportunity to say, oh, we're monitoring Terra because it's got X points in this, like, ranking of data that we're using. Or the same for, like, justifying we're watching Madness and Spy variants that didn't say, like, oh, these decks have been doing really well in leagues, so we're keeping an eye on them. It was just sort of, we're looking at these decks, and then you look at the win percentages you're seeing from these decks, and you're like, why are you looking at these decks? Like, Spy's basically non-existent for the vast majority of tournaments. Like, why are we watching this?
And that's the thing, though. That goes back to the point of we should have had more information. You have a panel of these people. Like, to me, I just think they should. I don't understand why they don't just share more information, but, you know.
I don't know if there's maybe a limit on what they're allowed to share as well, with obviously being associated with Wizards now. Obviously, that's been a thing in the past where Wizards don't want to share the data, like, not don't want to share the data, but don't want to share, like, a lot of the data that they've got. They'll prefer to share, like, a small piece of it. I don't know if that's maybe had an impact on it, which, if it has, that's fair enough. Obviously, can't do anything about that. But yeah, more information would have been nice, even if the result is the same.
For sure. Anything else to add?
No, just sort of a surprising announcement to see absolutely nothing changed in any format.
I was definitely surprised. But I'm just used to seeing every other format being lit up in fire. So that's my usual consensus. So that when they do get a BnR, people have been screaming about it for months and it needs about 17 cards changed, and then they get one and then everyone's outraged. Is usually what tends to happen from my experience from the outside looking in.
But
there you go. That's all I've got. So yeah, just some tournament news. Moving on. There is a Recollect Pauper winner box on Saturday the 21st of Feb, as Reese has already touched on. £15 entry, 11 a.m. start. That is in the description below to check out that, which obviously a few local lot are going to. Should be pretty sweet. Moving on to the Scrap King Cup, which is the 4th of April at Tabletop Dominion in Accrington. The winner gets a revised Savannah. You can check out that link in the description as well. Another pretty sweet event that's pretty close. It's their first bigger Pauper event, I believe, as well. And it seems to be like they're pulling out all the stops because they get like cool Pauper staples and stuff like that. So you can really just check out that event. It's going to be pretty sweet.
Yeah, there's a bunch of us looking to go to that one as well. It's nice to have some events that are 3 hours or less away as opposed to 5+.
Yeah, definitely. Other than that, that's all the events we've got. We've got no real news bar the BnR, which obviously we've covered. Yeah. So we've got 4 challenges to cover this week. There was no mishaps, so the Saturday is back.
Sort of some interesting things to pull out of these as well, given how sort of stable, I guess the format is. Thursday, the 5th, is the first challenge. 51 players, so solid Thursday numbers. First place was Jund Wildfire. Second and third were a pair of Mono Red Madness. Fourth was Blue Black Fate. Fifth was Colgate's. Sixth was Mono Blue Terror. Seventh was Grixis Affinity. And eighth was Elves. And then the two near misses. Ninth is Mono Blue Terror. And 10th is Colgate. Double Colgate in the top 10 is something quite interesting. We used to say that as basically a one-off deck. They weren't really trying anything new. They looked fairly stockish for Colgates. The 5th place one had a full 4 Outlaw Medics, I guess, is the main standout. Obviously, usually it's like between a 1 and a 2 of, with some Guardians, but this one just went full 4 of Outlaw Medic. No Guardians in the main, 2 in the side. Otherwise, basically just stock Colgate. I think the space was basically made up from like cutting the 1 mana counter spell that you usually see, like the Spell Pierce or the Dispel, and change that into an extra creature.
Yeah, I think Colgate is a pretty solid deck right now, right? It is one of them that you just get specific people that do sort of pilot it. Alessandro's obviously piloted it previously. They were the ones that played like the Esper list, so it's quite cool to see that they went back to blue-white. And then Wolf, obviously, who came in 10th, has played it before as well.
Yeah, it's a sweet one to see back. Outside of that, the Mono Blue Terror that Illuminati brought to the 6th place finish is quite an interesting one. Obviously, Illuminati is usually trying something strange and different, trying to innovate with Mono Blue Terror, and this is definitely one of the more out there lists. There's no Delvers, but instead of the Delvers, there's 4 Augur of Bolas, which is something I have not seen in Mono Blue Terror before. There's also a 1 of Defy Gravity, which is a single blue instant that gives a creature flying and has flashback of a single blue. So like the unblockable spell, whose name escapes me. Artful Dodge, that's the one. And then a 4 of Frantic Inventory as like a draw package as well. The main, obviously, cost to make this space up. Basically, there's only one, or there's also 4 Demon Inferior, which is obviously quite high on Demon Inferior. There's space, there's only 1 Sleep of the Dead as opposed to 2. There's no 1 of Deep Analysis, and there's no 1 mana counters at all. Obviously, to try and squeeze all this in.
Yeah, I don't hate the Frantic Inventory, right? It's seen play previously in the past, and it's sort of like, it's always going to be fine, right? It's never going to be too horrendous. Like, Augur, I can't seem so bad.
It is a weird one, given, like, it's basically always hitting something, right? But it doesn't really do much with your game plan. It doesn't fuel the terror. It doesn't trigger your 2 Murmuring Mystics. It doesn't attack, really. It's a 1/3. It's not getting any relevant damage through in this deck. The one thing it does do very well is pull Frantic Inventories out your deck, I guess. But yeah, it's a very strange list. I did not expect to see a terror list with 4 Augurs.
I would have thought Falagi would have at least been somewhat more relevant, right?
Yeah, given it fins the cards.
Yeah. But
yeah, true.
That would have been my first thought, but then I guess like there must be something to do with the 1/3 that's the relevant bit, right? But that, I don't know. It seems odd. It just seems odd to me. All at the cost of the 1 mana counters as well, which obviously seems pretty important right now. Like obviously going down to 4 counter spells basically, and then 4.5 removal spells is definitely an odd choice. Yeah,
you do have the Murmur Mystics in the main, which sort of stems the bleeding on the removal spells front a bit, because you can just go super wide. The counter spells is an interesting one, because obviously Force Spike without Delver is much worse anyway. But then, yeah, like this spell is still very good. Spell Pierce is still very good right now. He's just drawn a bunch of cards better, maybe. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think you could easily like convince me that you cut the 4 Augurs and just put the counter spells back in, like the 1 mana counter spells.
I can say I don't hate Frantic Inventory, right? It's sort of fine. It's always going to be sort of fine, you know. But yeah, definitely interesting way to take the list.
Yeah, and then obviously the Defy Gravity that we sort of briefly touched on as an interesting like other wrinkle in the deck. as opposed to the Artful Dodge. Obviously, Semi functions in the same way. Is obviously much worse in an aggressive sense than Artful Dodge because your guy can actually be blocked by stuff. But you can like jump things now, if that is relevant. I'm not sure how relevant that is against just not having your guy blocked at all. But
what's the fairies matchup like?
I
don't know. I've never really
interesting. I would say it sort of depends how well they can utilize spell stutter sprite from my experience. If you get an early terror, you can generally just win because you guys just bigger than anything they can do. But if they get a good start and can lock you under a spell stutter sprite, it can be quite difficult.
So I guess to me then that seems like a sort of biggish pull for a 1/3. I guess blocks the ninjas, stops that chain of going. Defy gravity, can jump a flyer early. Maybe
I suppose being able to jump an auger is not the worst thing. And just like eat a fairy, yeah.
Maybe that's sort of where this logic's come from. That fairies is that bad, and fairies seems to be quite everywhere over the past few weeks as well. So maybe that's the logic behind it. Maybe. Interesting, and why the move away from 1 mana counter spells as well for spells to makes it. I could maybe see that being the logical thought, but other than that, I'm at a loss.
Outside of those two lists. Basically, everything else is what you would expect. They're all very stock. Grixis Affinity isn't really trying anything different. The 2 Madness decks, other than slight changes in sideboard, almost identical. In fact, they are identical other than the sideboards. And then even the Jund Wildfire list isn't like that out of the question. It's got a 1 of Troublemaker Oof in the main. 1 of Pulse and Marassa in the main, both things we've seen before. Other than that, just stock Jund Wildfire.
Yeah. Rivet and stuff?
No other comments.
Nope. No other comments from me.
Moving on to the Friday challenge. Friday the 6th. 46 players. First place was Gardens. Second place was Dredge. Third place was Mono Blue Terror. Fourth place was Rakdos Madness. Fifth place was Mono Black Sack. 6th place was Mono Blue Snagger Terror. 7th was Dredge, and 8th was Grixis Affinity. And then the 2 near misses, 9th was Blue Black Terror, and 10th was Corgate. Again, sneaking into the top 10. The third place Mono Blue Terror list is once again Luminati with this Augur list. Although they've gone up to 2 Sleep of the Dead and cut the Defying Gravity, so it clearly didn't work out very well.
Yep.
Other than that, the list is the same. Still with the Augurs and the Frantic Inventories. But quite a good challenge for Dredge. Obviously something that we've seen come and go and then come back again as of late. Season of Myths in second has been jamming basically since Mazaboy put this new list together. And then Mazaboy himself in 7th. Continuing to tweak his list with some cliff gates now in the mana base.
Yeah, just pick a random gate, right? I guess.
Yeah. Is there I guess a relevance to this being a red over rather like the green gate? Obviously the vast majority of your stuff is green, but I guess the second most common stuff is red. Obviously, it gets better after sideboard because you've got a lot of red cards on the side as well.
I guess if it's green, then I think pretty much my logic is you're probably going to have to name red most of the time. So then at least
if it was a green one, you would name red anyway.
Yeah, so then maybe you have to. But there's a world where because you mainly have loads of forests, you have 4 forests, 4 Calendar Garden, you might want to name black. So then you can go red black, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's fair. I can see that.
I could see that. I imagine it's probably much of a muchness, right? But I imagine it's probably minuscule percentages of improvement in that regard. Like you have double green, Calendar Garden, and a forest or something. You can cliff gate on red black and have both sources up, or whatever. Yeah, I could see.
List wise, they're both very similar. Season of Mist is still on the Rubble Belt Maverick 4 of. Whereas Mazaboy's on the Momentary Blinks in the main instead.
Yeah, I think Mazboy is just a big fan of the blinking, right?
Yeah.
That's basically it.
Outside of Dredge, there's some more spice going on. The 6th place Monoblue Terror, obviously featuring Snacker and Abandoned attachments. The correct number of Abandoned attachments with 4.
Yeah.
But I like the look of this list. I think I'm probably going to try it out. Sneaky Snacker seems like very, very good right now, and Abandoned attachments in a Monoblue Terror shell seems like one of the better ways to be getting it outside of Mono Red Madness.
Yeah, I definitely think it seems like a solid inclusion, especially with all these tweakings, right, of all the terror lists. I definitely can see myself siding towards this over any of the others.
Yeah, I like how close it is to just Monoblue Terror as well.
I agree.
Although I'm still not sold on if you need the Aquafire as a one-off to cast the Snaggers. I feel like that could get awkward.
I guess you've got 4 attachments, 4 Brainstorm to sort of get rid.
Yeah.
So I guess it's probably one of the things that's like, sort of okay, but I could definitely see it being awkward, right, for sure. It's just one of the things you'll just have to play out and see how many times it screws you over compared to, it's kind of helpful, I guess.
And then the final deck that I wanted to touch on is this Mono Black Sack list. You can also rely on Mono Black Sack, but bringing random cards that probably shouldn't be in the deck and doing well with them. The creature side of things is basically what you would expect stock Mono Black Sack sort of creatures, except they've only got 3 Mortician Beetles, and one of those Mortician Beetles has been cut for a Singleton Shadow Alley Denizen, which for anyone who doesn't know what that card does, why do you not know? It's a single black for a 1/1. And whenever another black creature enters the battlefield under your control, target creature gains Intimidate until end of turn. Which in this deck is just fear, right? Because everything's black. Yeah, pretty interesting, like tech one-off, I guess. It's obviously not very good to sack, but if you've got a couple big guys and you can play this and then play a guy or two, or play a guy and sack it and get another token, it pops off again.
Yeah, I guess. Just as a random thought, I was thinking to myself there, it is basically just fear, but then I guess if you want to target the tokens, right, that's where it gets worse. Like the flyer, for example, it's black-green.
Yeah, because the flyer is black-green.
Get awkward reach things against like green-red.
The squirrels are just green, but yeah.
It's how awkward that's going to be to actually just bring like that going, do you know what I mean? Because obviously it's every time a black creature enters, so you've got to obviously keep them going to obviously keep giving the Intimidate, but another way of getting around like stuff like Writhing Chrysalis is a solid way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just not the worst.
It's just a shame that the body's so awful.
Yep. I can't imagine this card's good. But
no, I was thinking the same. Outside of the creature package, they've got some spicy spells that they're trying out as well. Oh, there's also a 1/1 Baron Moor for some reason. I guess the cycle to find your black creature, because you need 1 more black creature to give Intimidate.
That's it.
It's 15 swamps, 1 Baron Moor. But yeah, in the sorcery slot, there's 2 Ghoul Caller's Chance, which I know you've been quite a fan of in the past in like zombies builds. If you can get them to be a 1-mana recur 2 cards, it's obviously ideal. That's what you want to be doing. They've gone up to 4 Shambling Ghasts and cut the guy that makes the mercenary. Basically in favour of Shambling Ghast as zombie. So that gives you the Shambling Ghast and the Nested Shamblers and the Carrion Feeders as zombies. So you have like probably not enough, but enough to occasionally get 2 guys back, I would say. Although the token guys are not the worst. So there's always going to be at least 1 in your graveyard, isn't there? So even just rebuying a token guy is not the worst.
Yeah, I don't hate it, right? It's just like a mid. It's like a mid unearth, right? That sort of sometimes has upside. I can kind of get behind it to an extent, but yeah, it's probably a bit on the low side for me.
Yeah, it's sort of a shame some of the stuff you would think is a zombie isn't. So like Peregrine is a horror or something weird. which doesn't help. And then like Mortician Beetle is just an insect. It's not a zombie insect.
Mm.
There is a Curse Marauders in the board, which is quite good.
Yeah.
With Ghoul Collars as well. But then the real star of the show, a one-of Essence Harvest, which is a card I have never seen playing pop before. And even in limited of Avacyn Restored Time, I'm pretty sure this is just unplayable. So it'll be interesting to see how relevant it was in these games. But it's 2 and a black for a sorcery. And target player loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. So essentially it's like a rite of consumption, but you don't have to fling the guy, but it costs 1 more mana.
Yep. It is life loss as well, right? So
yeah, target player loses X.
I guess like rite of consumption can be stranded as well. I guess like I have seen this card before, right? And it's like a fling. It's just like a bad fling, right? Is where I've seen this. And it's no different really here. Sure. I feel like I'd probably just run Rite of Consumption. It costs 2 mana.
Yeah.
If I was going to run...
I think you touched on it. Strands is obviously the main one that it gets around. Yeah.
I mean...
But it costs 1 more mana.
Yeah, and I guess like, obviously if you just go... fling my guy and they go counter it. Obviously, there's that usual thing.
Yeah.
So like, it does have upside that I'm not against, but
it costs 1 more mana.
I don't know if that justifies the 1 more mana.
I don't know how often you get to a board state as well where you can just cast it not for lethal. Like if you've got a 5/5, you can just cast it and then continue to attack. Like if you've run out of gas, where obviously a right is basically dead at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very weird one.
Yeah, it's. I imagine like the red decks, it's like not that worse because obviously, like as you said, right, you fling your guy, you've lost your pressure. Yeah. Where this is like at least I've gained 5 life from the thing, and I've still got the pressure. So it's like it's not awful. I imagine the 1 more mana will probably come up a lot more than that exact scenario. But yeah,
especially in a deck like this where it's got 16 lands and 2 dark rituals, and that's basically it.
Yeah.
But yeah, an interesting one. The sideboard is also very interesting. Forced and Rated Scorpion, which I sort of rate as a sideboard card in this deck. Just as basically a small creature that deals a little bit of damage and gains a bit of life against the other aggressive matchups. Like, it's not amazing, but in a deck where you want that role sort of filled, it's probably the best thing that does that.
Yeah, it's not awful. Just, as you say, it just does exactly what you want it to do. It's sort of like the life staff slot, but it's still pressure.
Yeah. And fodder.
I'm not against it.
And then the real star of the show, which is something we've touched on previously in one of our episodes, Ashen Skin Zubearer. As a full 4/0, fully committed to the Zubearer life. It's 2 mana 1/2, and when it's put into a graveyard from play, target opponent discards a card for each Zubearer put into a graveyard from play this turn. So obviously the idea is you put a Peregrine on it or a Supernatural Stamina on it and sack it, and it comes back and you sack it again, and you basically eat their entire hand.
Yep.
Again, it's basically in the Mesfiend slot, right?
Yeah. I do like this card, to be fair, in that sort of slot.
Yeah, I think especially with the 4 stamina and 4 Peregrine sack lists.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely seems pretty solid. But yeah, I'm definitely a bigger fan of their sideboard than I am the random one that's in their main. But yeah, pretty sweet nonetheless.
It's all right. It's not much of a tweak to the main deck. You just like switch 2 cards and then you sort it.
Yeah. It's they're all not off. I can understand the logic behind them. I just can't imagine them that much better. But all cool to see some new trying of cards.
I do like the Ghoul Callers as well. I think if it had one other creature that was a zombie that you could run as a 4/0, I would be on board. But it does feel a little light.
Yeah.
Hence having to play the 4 Shambling Ghasts when you wouldn't really if you had that option.
Yep, I agree.
Any other decks from this challenge that you want to touch on?
No, I don't think so.
then to the Saturday challenge that is existing this week. There's only 47 players, so I'm assuming some people thought it might not fire again because it's not a great number. But is a sweet top 10. First place, Mono Blue Terror. Second place, Boros Moxite. Third place, Monstertron.
Woo.
Fourth place, Mono Blue Terror. Fifth place, Mono Red Madness. Sixth place, Grixis Affinity. Seventh place, Colgate. And eighth place, Green Red Ramp. And then the two near misses, ninth was Mono Blue Fair, and 10th was Grixis Affinity. I guess continuing where we left off previously, Luminati on Mono Blue Terror is fourth, with 4 Frantic Inventories and 4 Augur and Bolas still in the deck. So it's clearly doing something. It's clearly working. Yeah, same list outside of that. But yeah, it's cool to see sort of 3 back-to-back results with a new looking list.
Yeah. Obviously, this Augur must be for something. I don't know. I still yet to figure out what that is, but it must be for something.
Pulling spells out you there.
But yeah.
Or the classic, put your top 3 cards on the bottom. He's pretty good at that, I've heard.
That's put your Murmur Mystics on the bottom. Sounds like a good idea. Yeah, interesting.
The second place list, the Boros Moxite list, is again quite a, I don't want to say new take on Moxite, because I feel like every Moxite list just is like a bunch of random cards and then the Glinthawk shell, but they're playing a bunch of random cards in the Glinthawk shell.
Yep.
They've got the Secret of the Way package in, which I don't hate, to be fair. I quite like it. You don't end up looking like you've got a lot of spells, but because you are picking up Moxites and Lembuses and stuff with your Glinthawks and Skyfishes, you tend to trigger it at least every turn. It's usually just a 3/3 lifelink for 2. Which is pretty legit. A one of Inspiring Overseer, which I think we touched on before. And then the burn package is a little trimmed down because they've only got 3 Gallop Blasts and 4 Bolts. But then to support the Gallop Blasts, like, they haven't really gone very far with the mana base because there's 3 Ancient Dens, and that's basically the only artifact land in the mana base. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. I do, looking at this list though, the interesting thing for me is that they did have like a load of mess in terms of the removal. Right, previously they've had like 3 bolts, 3 blasts, some amount of destroy evils, some amount of journeys, and all that sort of stuff.
3 Urban Charms.
3 Urban Charms in the past, but at least I actually do like the look of, well, maybe not the Galv Blast as much, but how clean the removal suite looks. Like, you know what I mean? It's like literally like 3 journeys, 3 Galv Blasts, 4 bolts. Like, they've respected the fact that they need more removal and cleaner answers and stuff, which I'm all for. I don't like the Inspiring Overseer, like, at all. It's just for a one of, like, play like a 4th journey or something. I don't know. I just like what. But yeah, I do agree with you though. I do like the Sneaky Snagger, the Secret of the Way.
Yeah. It seems just like a consistently overstated guy. Essentially, every time it's going to be a 2-mana 3/3 or 2-mana 4/4 with lifelink.
Yeah.
The mana base has a lot of tap lands in, and a lot of them gain life, which I guess is sort of nice to have, but it just seems like a lot of tap lands. There's 2 Garrisons, 2 Kavira Crossroads, 4 Windscarred Crags, and then 2 Radiant Fountains, which I guess aren't tapped, but also don't pay for any of your cards very well, because a lot of your stuff is just 1 pip.
Pays for them Sneaky Snaggers very well, clearly. Or the yeah, it's just not sure. But I found that, to be fair, when I played the like previous lists, like so many tap lands, and then the removal was just weird, and you have like these Galv Blasts and you've got no artifact lands, and it's like, yeah, that side of it just didn't really gel. But
yeah,
I like the changes to the creatures. Well, badly obviously.
Moving on, Monstertron. Nothing exciting, but nice to see it. Just worth mentioning. It's still here. It's still doing well. Just casting big guys is legit at the moment, which is cool because it feels like we've come full circle to Pauper of like 10 years ago when Monstertron was good. Yeah. And then the only other thing that I've got to mention really is we have more, which is really cool to see. The 9th place Mono Blue Fair has 3 Blossom Bind in the sideboard. which is one obviously we spoke about on the episode where we discussed Lorwyn. It's the 2-mana aura that taps the creature and the creature can't untap. Yeah, makes a lot of sense in Fair when you're against stuff like elves, which is horrible, and you can just actually have removal for that matchup.
Yeah, definitely.
But cool to see some more contemporary cards being added in.
Yeah, I like the look of it in Fair. Like obviously 2 mana is a lot, but obviously being hard removal for things like elves is pretty good. Because previously they've had to have the enchantment and then a gut shot effect to kill the Quirion. But now you obviously only need the Blossom Bind, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
I can get behind that.
As some additional spice, they're also running 2 Sunken Cities in the main.
Yeah.
Which is definitely a choice. Obviously, turns that aggro up quite substantially in a deck like this, where you go from attacking for 5 to attacking for 10 with 1 card. Interesting to see.
Sick of dying to them end of festivities.
Well, maybe. Outside of that, is there anything else you want to touch on?
Just going back to the Monstertron. I've noticed that there clearly must be a listener. I've came to the conclusion because they've taken our advice from previously. We mentioned that the land should be the Surveil land instead of the Scry land, which was one of the changes because you could mill over the Brambleworm, right? I think was what we were talking about. Which they've taken on board, which is pretty cool. I'm assuming they've taken on board and not just... They could definitely have just learnt it themselves, but we're taking...
Probably more likely.
But more likely, yeah, but we're taking full credit. And then the other thing was Was it a Fireball that we're playing previously?
Of course, yeah, and it's now a Caravex torch.
So, again, 2 suggestions that we opted into that list, and clearly they have listened to our words of wisdom. That was all.
We need to suggest something weird, and then they'll have to play it with it in the sideboard, just so we know.
Just test the theory. Rooftop Percher. Someone play that card in there. Go.
It's just a one-of in the sideboard.
Just a one-of in the sideboard. But yeah, pretty sweet.
Sick. But yeah, I really like this deck. It's cool to see it doing well.
Definitely.
Moving on to the final challenge, Sunday the 8th. Only 55 players, so quite low for a Sunday. First place, Mono Blue Terror. Second place, Gardens. Third place, Tuned Wildfire. Fourth place, Elves. Fifth place, Ponza. Sixth place, Firewalls. Seventh place, Gritsphinny. And 8th place, Rally Red. That's 8 unique decks in the top 8. Let's go.
Woo!
And then 2 near misses. 9th was Cat Gardens and 10th was Dredge. 10 unique decks in the top 10. Let's go. Woo! This is what we want the challenges to look like.
Clearly, busted format needed to ban something. Clearly.
Well, yeah. Although there's nothing, unfortunately, that's that spicy. A lot of the list, or all the lists, are fairly stock, like what you'd expect. But the format just be like that right now. I guess worth touching on the Ponza list is obviously actual Ponza. It's the more old school one with the Cascade Dinosaur and Autosaur and Borden Parties in. It's also gone up on the one of Structural Distortion, which we've seen before as like the 9th Ponza effect. That can also kill bridges, which is quite cool. Outside of that, it's basically what you'd expect from Ponza. A lot of big Cascade boys and some land destruction.
Nothing too crazy. I just find it funny how much I always find Ponza nowadays so funny, the numbers. The numbers are just so weird because it's like, right, I've got to squeeze this in, I've got to squeeze this in, I've got to squeeze this in. Like 3 Rumbles, 2 Nyxborn Hydras, 3 Repurposer, and 3 Avenging Hunters, and 3 Wild Growth. Like, them numbers are all over the spot. But yeah, other than that, it's Ponza.
Spy Walls, the first spy of 3 challenge top 10s. One of Simian Spirit Guide, something I have not seen in this deck before.
Yes. There's also a mountain in the sideboard for 2 Gorilla Shamans and a Flaring Pain.
That is fair. Is Simian Spirit Guide playable in this deck? I don't really know what it gets you. Like, why would you not just play Lotus Petal?
I had no idea. Surprise factor. That's all I got.
I don't know. I just feel like if it was a Lotus Petal, you could keep hands where that was your mana source. Whereas with the Simian Spirit Guide, you just can't really keep hands unless you've got the cycler, but you can't keep Sagu Wildling, Simian Spirit Guide hands.
The only other thing is you can get it off lead and wind them way, I guess. That it's a that's all I got.
Yeah, I don't know. It just looks a bit peculiar. They've got the one of Beast Rider Vanguard as well. They've also got a one of Axebane Guardian, just because.
Sure.
I guess 1 is the number that you want to play of that card.
Yep.
But then only 1 Quirion Ranger, which I'm assuming is the cost of finding space for these Simian Spirit Guardians and Axebane Guardians.
Yeah, I find I've always found the Quirion Ranger thing in Spy Walls very weird. Some lists got 3 or 4, some got 1 or 2. Yeah. But then the more weird the try stuff, the less the run, and it's well, you've went up on battlements. Obviously you've got this 1 of Axebane and 4 battlements, but then why are you running 1 Quirion?
Yeah,
sure, that's what you've
just made it better. Put it back in.
Yeah, it makes no sense to me. But anyhow, yeah, big fan of the. I just like the big thing I do like about Spy Walls is the maxing out on the Waller Roots and overall battlements effect. This list decides not to do that. It's running 4 and 3, and then 1 Axebane because it likes to run one of the worst one. But sure, Simian Spirit Guide. Jeez,
hey, it might work. Outside of that, there's sort of not too much else going on. The Gardens list that comes second is sort of fairly stock, mainboard wise or card wise or spell wise, I guess is the best way to say it. Land wise, there's 2 deserts in the main deck, which is quite cool. But that's sort of the only real standout. It just looks like a normal Gardens list, and then there's 2 deserts.
I don't hate. Do you know what? That's not awful.
There's also 61 cards.
That I hate. But 4 defiles, 2 deserts, bit odd.
Yeah.
But I guess you're running what, 11 swamps? So it's not awful, but
yeah, 3 trolls.
Yeah. Odd. But yeah, cool. I like it. I'm not opposed to desert. It's free removal, right? In a deck that wants to kill everything.
Yeah, there is a lot of just weenie creature decks at the moment, from Rally to Elves to Fae. Even Heroic you might get lucky on. Or it might stop them attacking anyway, but yeah, I don't know. It's cool to see. I do like Desert as a card. It's quite a cost to the mana base, as you say. They are on Defile, so it makes that worse. They are on Snuff Out, so it makes that worse. And it just taps for a colours, which a lot of the time is not that great, especially if you've got multiple. But I don't hate. You have a lot of random colours artifacts in this deck, so you can utilise the mana better than most of the decks.
Yeah. Might have to give it. Well, actually, that's a lie. I'm not gonna give this a spin because that would mean I would have to suffer Gardens again. But it's cool, nonetheless.
That used to be your deck.
Yeah,
it used to be your deck of choice.
I have way too little time on my hands to be playing that deck now.
Anything else on this Sunday?
No, just to note. Obviously, it was Mazerboy in 10th on Dredge. They still kept the Cliff Gates in. They took out the Momentary Blinks out the main and put Gnaws in the main.
Oh, okay, just a swap.
Yeah, just
from the side.
Straight swap. Other than that, that was sort of it. Seems the hiatus of Magic Online lasted a while as well, clearly. Just a point to note.
Dredge is good again, though.
Yeah, true.
You can't waste time while Dredge is good.
That's it. That's all I got. Moving on to our listener question, just to finish up. This is from Phyrexian Weave, a person that we have actually covered in challenges previously. Their question was, if we were to downshift 1 card from rare to common, what would it be? We have sort of segmented this into a broken choice, probably usually a bit biased of our opinions, and then a possible choice, I guess. How possible they are is up to you, I guess. So starting mine first one, which is my broken choice, which I don't actually think is that broken, but I'm a bit biased. Birth and Pod. Birth and Pod is a totally fine and reasonable Magic card. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah. I mean, Pessimite in Pauper, right?
Yeah. Pestamite, there's a new Pestamite as well. Deceiver Exarch, I think, is a common as well. I'm not actually sure about that one, but...
It wasn't uncommon in New Phyrexia, but I don't know if it's got downshifted since then.
You can do some weird shenanigans and go up the chain and get your Ullamugs Crusher, and then it dies to a cast down and you've wasted your time. Yeah, that's how we're going to go with it.
That'll definitely be what will happen.
Yep, definitely. What's your broken choice? Go that way, right?
Yeah, mine again is like, this is the biased choice because it's just a card like Birth and Pod you want to see because you just want to play it again. This is a card I love playing in basically every single format from when it was in Extended to Modern now. Akbound Ravager. Obviously starting to get a bit power crept out of Modern, but still playable in a sort of fringe way. But yeah, I definitely think if Atog's too good, Ravager's way too good, but I would definitely like to see it in Pauper, even just to play with it once and then see it get banned into oblivion.
Which choice do you think's more broken?
Probably Ravager. We have artifact lands.
Yep. See, in that PFP listening in that respect, obviously, I don't know why I'm saying PFP like they have a choice. Gavin, you're listening.
They can print Birth and Pod at a common.
So you can, by that logic, you can print Birth and Pod at a common. Come on, gimme. And then a possible choice, but I think this is more on the. It's slightly biased because I do like Hate Bears, but we also don't really have Hate Bears in Pauper really. Like there's no obviously Blood Moons or Mages to Moons, or there's nothing along them lines. So it's basically just Thalia would be the one, right? Thalia Guardianess Raven would be obviously the one. I'll settle for Vryn Ringmare or Glow Rider. I just think...
like that tax and effect is something that just isn't really present at all in common, I guess. It's an interesting one. Obviously, White Weenie's not the strongest deck in the world. I imagine something like Vryn Ringmare would be very, very playable in White Weenie. Obviously, Thalia would be insanely playable. But even Glow Rider, I guess Glow Rider's probably the closest one to just being maybe just reasonable. Obviously its stats are pretty underwhelming, but the effect, especially in a format like Pauper where we just don't have access to that effect at all, could be quite interesting to be fair.
Yeah, I don't think the tax stuff will be. I can't see it being too oppressive. In Pauper, it's generally quite a slow format at the moment, so I don't know how oppressive it would be. But it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, it would definitely be annoying if you're playing Terra or something similar, and you're like, well, now my 2 spells that I was going to cast, now I can only cast 1.
That makes me happy, anyways. Sounds good.
My possible choice is sort of a stretch on the rare to common because originally this card was uncommon, but it has been printed as a rare, even if it was a Judge promo. That doesn't really count. My choice is Animate Dead. More because again, I feel like it could be quite an interesting card to add to the format. We don't have a Reanimator deck that is anywhere near halfway reasonable. Even Dredge isn't playing Exhume anymore, so if we had a second Animate spell, I think it would be quite a cool addition. And Animate Dead's sort of the most reasonable out of the options, really, that's still sort of playable. There's always the option for Entomb, as I guess, as a downshift from a rare, but Entomb is a very broken card. And we'll probably just start putting deep analysis in the graveyard of blue-black terrors and and would be broken in a different way.
Oh, you need access to a removal spell. Here's a Sleep of the Dead.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
As much as that sounds quite humorous to me, because obviously the extent of Entomb in obviously other formats, in Pauper, that's pretty legit card advantage.
Yeah, so, but at least Animate Dead is sort of, it's pointing in the way of play this in a Reanimator deck rather than just use this in your blue-black control deck.
Yeah,
or teachings, Entomb for teachings.
But yeah, definitely. I think to be fair, we don't have a Reanimator deck, right? All the reanimation spells are 4 or 5 for the dedicated Reanimate 1 creature sort of thing. So having something like that's interactable as well seems pretty solid. Get that Ullamugs Crusher back. See, both cards that we've picked one's birthing pod chaining up Pestamite up the chain to Ulamog's Crusher, and one's going put it in the bin and animate dead. Maybe Ulamog's Crusher can go, and then once that's done, we can print these cards. That's it.
Maybe one of us should have chose a different bomb, like a bigger bomb.
Oh, man.
I feel like that might be the other end of the scale, is like the cap is not actually the doing broken stuff, it's the bomb is bad.
That's what it is. Maybe we need, I can't remember the name of that Modern Horizons mythic. The dragon that discards and Archon of something. That one. Someone pick that
Archon
one.
of Cruelty.
Yeah, that one. I'd be totally fine, right? But yeah, anything else, Dad?
No, that's it from me.
That is all from us at Cast and Commons, and thank you all for your continued support. Do not forget to join the Discord. Obviously, you can submit your hot takes, your listeners' questions, sorry, not hot takes. That's a thing of the past. Do not forget to tell your friends, your family, and your florist. It's that time of year again, guys. Until next time, and don't forget to stay hydrated. Peace!
Bye.